Well, it's another triumph for the Trudeau regime. Canada is now a world leader in car theft. Hey, you didn't think it was going to be something good, did you? Apparently, thieves stole more than 105,000 vehicles in Canada in 2022. That seems like a lot. Says Canada is fast becoming the car theft capital of the world. The figures for 2022 show that thieves stole more than 105,000 vehicles in Canada, or about one every 5 minutes. And apparently Canada has made Interpol's top 10 list for car thefts. Let's check that out. Let's see, Lyon, France. This is from the Interpol website. More than 1,500 vehicles stolen in Canada have been detected around the world since the Royal Canadian Mounted Police, or the RCMP, successfully integrated the Canadian Police Information Center's stolen vehicle information with Interpol's stolen motor vehicle database in February 2024. The RCMP's CPIC database contains details on approximately 150,000 vehicles stolen in Canada. Since the integration, more than 200 of these stolen vehicles have been identified each week as their information is checked by law enforcement around the world, usually at national ports of entry. And it says here Canada ranks among the top 10 countries in hits received via the SMV database this year out of 137 countries connected worldwide. You know, it's so funny. Trudeau never mentioned anything about rampant crime when he was selling us his socialist utopia. I wonder why he left that out. But it's interesting. So a lot of these cars are going out of the country. They're being found at national ports of entry. Geez, I hope that doesn't have anything to do with Trudeau's insane mass migration policies, bringing like 1 million people in 9 months. Let's see, from the CBC, where are stolen cars from Canada shipped to? Many of the vehicles are shipped to the Middle East and West Africa, where they are then traded or resold. Very interesting. It makes me wonder if just accepting every single person who can possibly make it to Canada was a great idea. And I'm not saying that every person who moves to Canada is a car thief. What I'm saying is that this might not all be just one big coincidence. But back to the story. A federal justice minister and Attorney General Arif Virani has had his Toyota Highlander XLE stolen 3 times. So the federal justice minister has had his car stolen 3 times. Maybe you should have read this comment from the National Post. Time for woke judges and Trudeau liberals to end the soft-on-crime experiment. The guilt-ridden judiciary has put feelings before community safety for too long, and it's costing people their lives and their cars. From March 23, 2024. The Canadian experiment in free-range, low-consequence crime has failed miserably. It's time for its enablers, the bleeding heart politicians, judges, and nonprofit operators who insist on forcing the Canadian population to bear the burden of criminality, to call it off. Toronto police data shows the city has seen a 25% rise in residential break-ins since last year, and a 400% rise in break-ins with the intent to steal a vehicle. And it's just the same across the board with everything crime-related. And you know, while we're at it, maybe that whole, let's just try and make as many Canadians into drug addicts as possible, maybe that whole thing isn't working out either. But, you know, when the federal justice minister is having his own car stolen 3 times in as many years, maybe it's time to reassess. What does Pierre Poilievre have to say about it?
It was recently reported that Trudeau's own justice minister had his car stolen 3 times in as many years. If this isn't enough to convince the Liberals to take action and crack down on auto theft, what is?
It's just hard not to laugh at the irony of it. But you know, I have to say, these car thieves have no gratitude. Here the justice minister is letting them out of jail for stealing cars. You'd think that they would show him some courtesy in exchange, but instead they keep stealing his car. It's unbelievable. I would have thought that they would have been grateful to this justice minister for him letting them out of prison within hours of their arrest. But no, they are stealing his car too. And that is life after just 8 years of Justin Trudeau. Everybody is at risk now. These stories, we didn't have these stories before Trudeau. He has caused an explosion in car theft. And good news is that life wasn't like this before Trudeau, and it won't be like this after he's gone. Under the previous common sense Conservative government, we cut car theft by half. I'll say that again. We cut car theft by half. Anybody doubting whether or not these common sense policies I'm laying out work? Remember, we cut car theft by half. We cut violent crime by 25%. We brought down crime with our common sense policies. They work, they're proven. Let's bring it home.
The thing I like about Pierre's responses to questions like this, opposed to Trudeau's responses to questions like this, are that there's actually some common sense in there, as opposed to just blaming everything on transphobia. Yeah, it's gotten so bad in Canada that, according to the article here, many Canadians have lost faith in the ability of police forces to contain the lawlessness and are doing what they can to protect their property with private security or vehicle trackers. Well, this is one of the things when you flood a country, when you put a country in a population trap, when you flood a country with too many people for the infrastructure to handle, for hospitals to handle, for healthcare to handle, for police departments to handle. And I want to remind you, Trudeau brought in 1 million people in just 9 months. He's brought in millions of people. And when you do that, you're going to stretch everything to the breaking point. All of a sudden, there's going to be more people than the hospitals can handle and more crime than the police can handle. And when it's easier to commit crime with less chance of being caught, and even if you do get caught, you're going to get a slap on the wrist, well, we know what happens. It's happening right now. You'll get more crime. And if you think that Trudeau's going to do anything about any of this before the next election, yeah, I wouldn't hold my breath. I think he's too busy dancing, possibly high on safe supply drugs. Anyway, that's all I'm going to say about that. Please like, share, and subscribe. Subscribing really helps me out. I thank you for that. I will see you next time.